Part 9. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tien Tien Taido. Chapter 81. Yaking, why don't you sleep next to your mother tonight? Li Hao sleeps in your room with you. This was what Qin Lai said. It was already nighttime again, and he didn't want to go back to the study to sleep. Besides, where can you find a good man like Li Hao? First, he saved the old man's life, and then he gave them so much fresh brightling tea and big dudu tea. Moreover, Li Hao was a person valued by the big guys, he was so rich and good looking. It's really hard to find such a perfect man. Therefore, Qin Lai hoped that Qin Yaking and Li Hao would achieve positive results as soon as possible. Ah! Dad, what did you say? When Qin Yaking heard Qin Lai's words, she looked at Qin Lai with wide eyes and disbelief. First, I told myself to be nicer to Li Hao in the future, and now I am rushing myself directly into Li Hao's arms. Qin Yaking's pretty face turned red with embarrassment and she felt ashamed. Well, I can do that. At this time, Li Hao said weakly. He didn't care if he slept alone or with two people. You. Qin Yaking looked at Li Hao in astonishment. She didn't know what to say. Her pretty face turned even redder, and even her neck turned red. It was extremely bright. I'm ignoring you. Qin Yaking said something directly, then ran away and ran into her room. Bang. Then, there was a clear sound and the door closed. Everyone was left looking at each other and smiling. Look, these girls are thin-skinned. They are both young people and they are boyfriend and girlfriend. What does it matter? Li Hao, don't worry about it. You can just go in later. Auntie has the key here. But at this moment, Yerong said to Li Hao again. Li Hao. Just as Li Hao was thinking about it, he sneaked into the room quietly. Li Hao's cell phone rang, and it was a WeChat message. Li Hao, aren't you coming back today? This news was actually sent by Ye Xiun. At this moment, Ye Xiun was lying on the bed in the room, but she was tossing and turning but couldn't fall asleep, and she still had a big dark circle under her eye. Last night, she waited all night, but Li Hao did not come back. Without even thinking, Ye Xiun could guess where Li Hao was sleeping. Have the two of them actually developed to that point? She didn't know why, but this made her feel very uncomfortable and complicated. She always felt as if something that should have been taken away from her was taken away. Even today during the day, she was distracted from time to time in class. After class, Ye Xiun rushed back immediately, but Li Hao still didn't come back. She continued to wait, and now, Li Hao still hadn't come back. So Ye Xiun finally couldn't help but send a WeChat message to Li Hao. She didn't know what she was doing. Well, I encountered something, so I'm staying here. I have to go to the Southwest Garrison tomorrow, and I may not come back. Li Hao directly edited the information and sent it to Ye Xiun. Well, okay. However, Ye Xiun just replied with 3 words, and nothing happened. Li Hao didn't pay too much attention and was about to go into the room to sleep. Li Hao quietly tried to open the door of Qin Yaking's room. The door was not locked and was opened directly by Li Hao. In the room, Qin Yaking was lying on her side on the bed, facing the other side, as if she was asleep. Although the lights were not on, in Li Hao's eyes, the scene in this room was almost the same as during the day. Such a beautiful woman lying on the bed. So damn tempting. Li Hao didn't make a sound, slowly walked in, and then came to the bedside. But at this moment, click. The lights are on. What do you want to do? Qin Yaking turned her head directly, stared at Li Hao, and said with great vigilance. Li Hao was speechless. Of course I'm sleeping, what else can I do? Li Hao said directly. You are not allowed to go to bed. If you want to sleep, sleep on the floor. There are blankets in the closet. Qin Yaking said coldly again, turning into an iceberg goddess again. Her mother had told her not to let a man get her too quickly or too easily. She must keep a distance from Li Hao and not let him sleep in her bed. Moreover, the relationship between the two of them as boyfriend and girlfriend is still pretending, at least until the relationship is truly confirmed. What's more, Li Hao hasn't confessed his love to her yet. Little did she know, her mother sold her when she came in. Seeing Qin Yaking's cold look, Li Hao was stunned again. Well, the floor is uncomfortable, and the bed is quite big. Can I just take up a little bit? Li Hao said weakly again, wanting to fight for it. No. Qin Yaking decisively refused, and her pretty face was flushed with embarrassment. This was the first time she had been in the same room with a man. If she wanted to sleep on the same bed, there was no telling what would happen. It's really just a little bit, don't worry. Don't you believe me? Li Hao said shamelessly again, with a pitiful look in his eyes. When Qin Yaking saw Li Hao's appearance, she began to hesitate. There is drama. Hey, do you have the heart to let me sleep on the ground? I just climbed Lejun Mountain today, and my back and legs are sore. Li Hao sighed again and said with a melancholy look on his face. Okay, you can come up and sleep, but don't move. Finally, Qin Yaking compromised. Li Hao was delighted, and then he prepared to take off his clothes and go to sleep. Ah! Qin Yaking screamed again, panicking. What are you doing? Sleeping, don't you take off your clothes when you sleep? Li Hao was confused. No, just sleep like this. Qin Yaking said directly. Finally, Li Hao lay on the bed. Qin Yaking also lay on the bed, but she was separated from Li Hao. Neither of them spoke. For a while, the atmosphere in the room was a little awkward, and they could even feel each other's breathing. Qin Yaking's breathing seemed a little hurried, and her heartbeat was a little fast. I don't know how long it lasted. Maybe it was because he was too tired today. Li Hao noticed that Qin Yaking's breathing became stable, and then he fell asleep first. Li Hao was also very honest, but he couldn't help but be distracted. Ding dong, congratulations to the host, complete the task, and get rewards, God-level medical skills, a set of Tianqian 9 needles. But at this time, the system's prompt sound suddenly sounded. It turned out that he had saved the old man and completed the mission, and the reward he received had come. The reward may be late, but it will not be absent. In an instant, a powerful message suddenly flooded into Li Hao's mind. God-level medical skills. At this moment, Li Hao felt that he had directly become a medical master. All kinds of diseases were in his mind, and all kinds of medical methods were under his control. God-level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Taido. Chapter 82. Li Hao feels that he is now a medical master, a true medical master. Even people who have half a foot in the gate of hell can be saved by themselves. What a heaven-defying reward. Although he could save people before, he did so with the help of his body and spiritual power. Li Hao actually didn't know much about medicine. But now, it's different. In addition to this God-level medical skill, the system actually equipped itself with a set of physical objects. A set of Tianqian 9 needles. A box appeared out of thin air in Li Hao's hand. Inside the box, 9 needles are as jade-like as they are made of unknown materials, and are placed neatly. Tianqian 9 needles, the best magical weapon, which is made from tens of thousands of years of cold jade. It can be refined with drops of blood, it can save people by promoting good, and it can kill people by eradicating evil. There are still some explanations about the Tianqian 9 needles in his mind. The Tianqian 9 needles, the 9 jade needles in front of you, are actually top-quality magical tools that can be used to heal diseases, or can also be used as weapons. It's a good thing. Li Hao directly pricked his fingers with these 9 needles, then activated his cultivation power and started refining directly. After a while, the 9 Tianqian needles in front of him disappeared and entered Li Hao's body. However, they could not cause any harm to Li Hao because they had been refined by Li Hao. This Tianqian 9 needle is directly connected to Li Hao's mind and can be summoned by Li Hao anytime and anywhere. After receiving the reward, Li Hao was in a good mood, and then he just closed his eyes and rested his mind. Li Hao, who was already a monk, actually didn't need to sleep at all. Don't know when. Qin Yaking, who was asleep, turned over and put a hand on Li Hao's body without knowing it. Li Hao's body couldn't help but tense up. After a while, Qin Yaking was next to Li Hao unknowingly, with her whole face facing Li Hao, and even her breath was on the side of Li Hao's face. Li Hao could still smell the fragrance coming from Qin Yaking's body. Li Hao didn't dare to move, for fear of waking up Qin Yaking. The next moment, Qin Yaking's legs actually crossed Li Hao's body again. Li Hao opened his mouth and said the quintessence of Chinese culture. Moreover, Qin Yaking actually hugged herself. Qin Yaking let out a soft sigh in her hazy state, as if she was having a sweet dream. Li Hao was speechless. Is it so exciting? A wave of hot blood began to boil in Li Hao's body, and his body couldn't help but react instinctively. Fortunately, Li Hao is a monk and can still control it. If it were anyone else, he might not be able to withstand it. That's all. One night passed. Early the next morning, Qin Yaking woke up. She had a good sleep last night and had good dreams. Qin Yaking opened her eyes. She seemed to be holding something. In front of her eyes was a handsome face, that of Li Hao, and she herself hugged Li Hao tightly, with her legs still on the other person's body. Woke up. Li Hao saw Qin Yaking and said with a smile that if he didn't wake up, he would really be unable to bear it. Last night, Li Hao almost misfired several times. Ah! As soon as Li Hao finished speaking, a scream suddenly came from Qin Yaking's mouth. Qin Yaking quickly let go of Li Hao, sat up directly, and pointed at Li Hao and said, "What did you do to me?" Li Hao had a black line on his face and was speechless as he said lightly, "What did I do to you? You picked it up yourself, okay." When Qin Yaking heard Li Hao's words, her eyes widened and she was ashamed and angry, but she didn't know what to say. Her whole face was already red as ever. Qin Yaking looked at her clothes and found that they were still well dressed. It seems that it is really herself. I was so embarrassed. She actually hugged Li Hao while sleeping. In the hazy moment, she seemed to even kiss him. Doesn't this mean that Li Hao took advantage of her? Shameless. Qin Yaking felt that she was really ashamed. Li Hao smiled and walked out directly. Now that he's awake, it's almost time for him to leave. Today, he will also go to the southwest garrison. He had to fulfill his promise to the other party, and since the other party was a soldier, it was Li Hao's duty to save a soldier who was protecting his family and country. Ever since, Li Hao directly threw his car to Qin Yaking, and then drove off directly in the number 5 officer car of the Southwest Guard Army. As for class, he definitely wouldn't be able to attend. This time, Li Hao directly asked for leave. If you don't ask for leave, you're skipping class. Asking for leave is skipping class for a valid reason. The Southwest Guards Army is located in the mountainous area 200 kilometers away from the north of the Yangtze River and to the southwest. There are few people there. Li Hao drove the car on the mountain road. As we go deeper, there are fewer vehicles, the roads become a little winding, and the altitude becomes a little higher. At a certain moment, Li Hao drove the number 5 officer car to the bottom of a cliff. Li Hao looked at the road ahead and let out a cry of surprise. A red exclamation mark actually appeared in front of him. This actually surprised Li Hao. He could actually encounter prompts on this mountain road. The next moment, Li Hao was stunned again and saw where the exclamation mark was. I saw a leopard lying on the road about 20 meters ahead. A wild leopard, a white leopard. A snow leopard? Damn, I actually saw a snow leopard here. At this moment, this snow leopard was lying on the ground, and the blood around its body was dyed red. What's going on? This snow leopard was clearly injured. Li Hao drove the car to the side not far away and stopped, then got out of the car and walked up. Li Hao came directly to the side of the snow leopard. This snow leopard was very long and strong, but at this moment its body was covered with wounds, and blood dyed its hair red, and it was still flowing. This snow leopard should have fallen from this cliff. Huh. Huh. This snow leopard was still breathing, not dead, but very weak. It should have fallen not long ago and was seriously injured. As for the exclamation mark on the snow leopard, Li Hao clicked it directly. The QR code popped up, and Li Hao paid 200 yuan without any hesitation. Ding dong, this is a dying snow leopard, seriously injured. If the host saves it, there will be unexpected gains. The system prompt came immediately. Sure enough, the system asked him to rescue the injured snow leopard. Li Hao looked at the snow leopard. It was dying and could die at any time. And the snow leopard also opened its eyes and looked at Li Hao, with a begging light in its eyes. This is also a life. Since I have encountered it, I can't ignore it. Even if there is no prompt, Li Hao will not stand idly by. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Taido. Chapter 83. Li Hao looked at the injured snow leopard in front of him, and his eyes were filled with a hint of begging. Li Hao's heart could not help but move. All things have spirits, and this snow leopard is also a living being. Since he met it, even without the system's prompt, Li Hao would still choose to save the snow leopard. In front of him, this snow leopard was seriously injured and could die at any time. It can't be delayed any longer. Li Hao squatted down beside the snow leopard. Li Hao touched the body of the snow leopard, and the snow leopard trembled slightly. Soon, Li Hao felt the injury of the snow leopard's body clearly. This snow leopard was not seriously injured. Almost all the bones in the whole body were broken, and there were many claw marks on the body, as if it was scratched by other animals. It seems that it should be like this in a fight with other animals. The next moment, a jade needle has appeared in Li Hao's palm. Tianqian 9 needles, just come in handy. A jade needle was directly inserted into the snow leopard's back, then into its forehead, and then into its knee joint. When all 9 jade needles were inserted into the snow leopard's body, Li Hao activated his cultivation power again, and a stream of spiritual power was directly injected into the snow leopard's body. The next moment, the snow leopard's body was shaken again. The blood on the snow leopard's body actually stopped at a speed visible to the naked eye, and then the injuries on the snow leopard's body also slowly began to heal. Kaka. The bones in the snow leopard's body made a crisp sound. The originally broken bones were actually connected again at this moment. The snow leopard's round eyes were bright, and it could clearly feel that its body was getting better rapidly, and its injuries were all healed. The vitality that had been lost was also rapidly restored at this moment. The snow leopard was very excited. It felt the power of Li Hao's spiritual power, just like the spring rain, moistening the earth, nourishing every piece of its flesh and bones. At this moment, the snow leopard also had this spiritual light shining on its body, and a strong vitality burst out. Not long after, Li Hao stopped. He consumed another strand of his spiritual power, but it was worth it. The snow leopard in front of him was fine. He saw that the injuries on the snow leopard were all healed, and it stood up. When it stood up, it was even with Li Hao's waist, and its 2-meter-long body looked a little fierce. It was simply a big cat. The next moment, Li Hao was shocked to see that the bloody hair on the snow leopard was actually starting to fall off. What's going on? Li Hao couldn't help but be a little surprised. Soon, in less than a minute, the snow leopard's body had become bald, and it looked a little strange. However, the snow leopard's eyes were filled with an excitement that was difficult to conceal. It was bald, and it was going to become stronger. The next moment, the snow leopard had even whiter hair growing on its body. More and more, soon covering the entire body of the snow leopard. And the newly grown hair is even whiter, and it is also a little crystal. Huh! Li Hao was surprised, and there was a touch of shock in his eyes. The snow leopard in front of him seemed to have become a little different. Spirituality. There was a touch of spirituality on the snow leopard. Could it be because of his spiritual power? Li Hao had some doubts in his heart, but he was already 90% sure. Unexpectedly, after saving the snow leopard, it actually caused such a big change in the other party. At this moment, the snow leopard naturally felt the changes in his body, and was very excited, jumping up and down, running around. Because of Li Hao's spiritual power, the snow leopard felt that he seemed to be a little psychic and became smarter. The next moment, the snow leopard excitedly rushed towards Li Hao again. Li Hao was immediately scared when he saw this scene. This guy weighed hundreds of kilograms. Li Hao directly stretched out his hands, and when the snow leopard rushed in front of him, he directly held its head and stabilized its body. Even so, there was still a huge impact force on Li Hao. Fortunately, Li Hao was a cultivator. If it were any other ordinary person, he would have been hit to death. After hugging the snow leopard actually rubbed its round head on Li Hao's body again. Intimate. Even stretched out its tongue to lick Li Hao's face. Don't. Li Hao was startled and burst out a swear word directly, supporting the snow leopard's head to show his refusal. The snow leopard showed a humane look, as if a little puzzled. But Li Hao said again at this moment. Okay, your injury is healed, go back. Hearing Li Hao's words, the snow leopard nodded, as if he really understood what Li Hao said, and he was really smart. Then, the snow leopard actually went directly to the cliff, looking a little excited. It was going to bite to death the guy who was trying to seize its territory and food. It was that guy who knocked it down from the top of the mountain. If it weren't for Li Hao, it would have died. Now it is completely different. After absorbing Li Hao's spiritual power, it has transformed from an ordinary snow leopard to a spiritual snow leopard. The previous opponent must not be its current opponent. The steep cliff is like flat ground under the snow leopard's feet. But not far away, the snow leopard actually ran over again. Then, the snow leopard came to Li Hao again. Li Hao was a little puzzled. Why did this guy not leave and come back again? The snow leopard came to Li Hao's trouser legs again and sniffed carefully with his nose, as if to remember the smell of Li Hao. Roar! The snow leopard opened its mouth again and shouted at Li Hao. It seemed to say, "Thank you." Then, it left again. It was very fast, going straight up all the way, and disappeared between the rocks in a few breaths. Ding dong, congratulations to the host, you have received the reward, God-level alchemy, foundation building pill formula. At this moment, Li Hao's mind suddenly shook again, and a mechanical sound resounded in his mind. It was the system prompt. The reward has come. This reward was obviously from the prompt on the snow leopard's head just now. I saved the snow leopard and the reward was issued directly. God-level alchemy. Foundation building pill formula. Immediately afterwards, another huge amount of information poured into Li Hao's mind, which was about this God-level alchemy and the formula of the foundation building pill. Countless relevant information about alchemy entered Li Hao's mind, just like being forcibly infused by an alchemy master, and all the knowledge he had learned about alchemy was passed on to Li Hao. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Taido. Chapter 84. There are three main steps in alchemy: tempering, condensation, and life. Tempering is to burn the spiritual medicine with fire and refine it into spiritual liquid. And condensation is to control the temperature of the flame, and then condense and compress the spiritual liquid into the shape of the pill. As for life, it is the last step, and the most important step, which is to give birth to spirituality on the condensed pill. Only the higher the spirituality of the pill, the higher the grade of the pill. It is said that the legendary immortal elixir has the same spirituality as humans, and can even be transformed into humans. Of course, Li Hao is definitely not able to refine immortal elixir now. Although Li Hao has won the reward of the system's god-level alchemy, Li Hao still can't refine immortal elixir. Refining powerful elixir requires not only elixir formula, not only comprehension, but also strong cultivation. Only after the cultivation is improved, Li Hao can refine more powerful elixir. In a moment, Li Hao was like being enlightened, and understood all the things about the alchemy. Moreover, Li Hao also memorized the recipe for the foundation building pill. Ginseng, deer antler, tianling grass, jade branch, earth dragon root, snow lotus. Li Hao muttered the names of the medicinal materials needed in the recipe. There were more than 20 kinds of medicinal materials, and most of them Li Hao had never heard of. But none of this mattered. As long as he had the recipe, Li Hao would not worry about not being able to get these medicinal materials. Isn't it just a matter of money? He is not short of money now. What is confidence? This is called confidence. After saving the snow leopard and receiving the system's incredible reward, Li Hao drove the number 5 officer car of the Southwest Garrison Army to continue into the mountainous area. At the moment, he should be close to the Southwest Garrison Army's base. Finally, Li Hao followed the navigation and drove more than 30 kilometers of mountain roads. A checkpoint appeared in Li Hao's eyes, and there was a roadblock blocking the road. With the appearance of this checkpoint, there was a barbed wire fence along the checkpoint to divide the inside into another area. Next to the checkpoint, there was a conspicuous signboard. Military stronghold, stay away from idle people. I don't know how far it is inside. But even this checkpoint has several sentinels guarding here, and these sentinels are very strong and equipped with guns. When Li Hao drove the number 5 officer's car in front of these sentinels, eyes widened immediately. Number 5 officer's car. Quick, quick, get out of the way, get out of the way. No wonder Commander Long and his men drove back in an ordinary car yesterday. Report quickly. After seeing the number 5 officer's car, these sentinels made way, and they all showed awe, and then stood to one side. When Li Hao drove the number 5 officer's car past them. Hello, sir. The sentinels saluted Li Hao in the car with a standard military salute. Li Hao nodded slightly, and then drove the number 5 officer car without stopping, and went deep into the garrison. It's actually a young man. When the sentinels saw the appearance of Li Hao in the car, they couldn't help but take a breath again. When Long's Himing came back yesterday, he had instructed that when the number 5 officer car came back, they should not stop it, and report it immediately. What kind of big shot is this guy who can make the number 5 officer Long's Himing pay so much attention to him? So these sentinels were actually very curious in their hearts, and they were even more shocked when they saw Li Hao in the car. While these sentinels were shocked, Li Hao had already driven the car to the depths of the Southwest Garrison. It was a full 3 or 4 miles. The scene in front of Li Hao changed. Military buildings appeared in front of Li Hao. Is this the garrison of the Southwest Garrison? There are military hospitals, dormitories, restaurants, and a vast training ground. Who? Hu. Hu ha hey. Dot. From a distance, you can hear the roars of some soldiers training. Unity is strength, unity is strength, this strength is iron, this strength is hard, harder than iron, harder than hard. I am a soldier, from the common people, defeated the island invaders and eliminated them. We soldiers are different, just think we are all wearing. The sun sets in the west and the red clouds fly, the soldiers return to the camp after shooting, the red flowers on their chests reflect the colorful clouds, and happy songs are flying all over the sky. Not only that, you can also hear the soldiers singing passionately, standing up the army's songs, singing their patriotism. Shocked. Li Hao couldn't help but be shocked by these songs and the scene of soldiers training on the training ground in the distance, and was even more affected by this atmosphere. Ah! This is a group of lovely people, and even more a group of people worthy of admiration. These people are soldiers of the Southwest Garrison Army, stationed here to maintain the stability of the area. Who would have thought that the Southwest Garrison Army was stationed in this mountain area? It can be seen that it is surrounded by mountains. It should be a basin between mountains, and there are clouds and mist. Obviously, it is very hidden and ordinary people cannot enter. Li Hao drove the number 5 officer car and drove smoothly all the way. Around, from time to time, some soldiers were seen walking on the road, some were ordinary soldiers, and some were officers of the garrison. But without exception, when these soldiers saw Li Hao's car, they stopped one after another, and then their expressions were shocked, and they saluted Li Hao in the car. Although Li Hao came in, he didn't know where Longsheiming was. The garrison was so big, and he didn't know where the people he wanted to save were. But at this time, a group of figures in military uniforms appeared on the garrison road in front. There were more than a dozen figures, and Longsheiming was among them, but now Longsheiming was also wearing the uniform of the garrison. And on Longsheiming's shoulders, he actually carried a wheat ear and a star emblem. Damn! This is really young. And, this Longsheiming was not standing in the front, but standing next to another person. That was also a middle-aged man, who looked older than Longsheiming, about 50 or 60 years old, but the whole person was very elegant and very spiritual. On the shoulders of this middle-aged man, there is a wheat ear and 2 star emblems. Everyone followed behind this middle-aged man, with him as the leader. Among the more than 10 people, there are actually 2 guys carrying wheat ears and a star on their shoulders. As for the people behind, they all carry 2, ranging from 1 star to 4 stars. What a big scene! Look, that's the 2nd commander, and the 3rd commander and his men. What are they doing? Why are all the commanders coming out? Look, they stopped in front of that car. Who is in that car? Exclamations suddenly rang out from all directions. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tien Taido. Chapter 85. When the big bosses of the Southwest Garrison came out, the soldiers who saw the scene were also shocked. What a big battle! Even the big guys came out. What is this going to do? The next moment, everyone saw that these people walked straight towards the car, and then stopped in front of the car. Oh my God! They came out to greet that guy. Who is that guy? A series of uproar sounded, and everyone saw the young man in the officer's car, and couldn't help but guess the young man's identity. Little brother, you are finally here. At this time, Longsheiming walked to the side of the car again and said to Li Hao in the car. Since I promised you, I will definitely come. Li Hao said calmly again, then turned off the car, opened the door and got out. Huh? So young. Can he save the Guardian? Unlikely. When these big guys saw that the person who got out of the car was such a young man, they were also surprised. Obviously, in their eyes, the guy in front of them didn't look like he could save their boss. But this time Longsheiming went out without bringing back Master Sanyang. He just said that he had found someone who could save the Guardian. The garrison envoy is their boss and the #1 person in the entire Southwest Garrison. Their garrison envoy is named Nai Tianyuan, and he is a military soul to the Southwest Garrison. However, many years ago, their garrison envoy was assassinated and injured. At this moment, they expressed doubts when they saw the person Longsheiming said could save the Guardian envoy. "Come on, little brother, let me introduce to you. This is the deputy garrison envoy of our garrison, Yu Jianshan. This is the garrison envoy Qi Lianshan, and the deputy garrison envoy Li Dayuan." Longsheiming introduced Li Hao directly. Li Hao smiled and nodded, feeling shocked in his heart. They are all really big guys. The garrison envoy is the boss of the Southwest Garrison. Below the guard envoy are the deputy guard envoys, then the town army envoy, the deputy town army envoy, and the military envoy. And Longsheiming is the military envoy, so he is also the boss of the Southwest Guards Army. Envoy Longshen, is this the person you found to rescue the envoy? At this time, someone asked Longsheiming in a deep voice, with a hint of suspicion in his voice. The person who spoke was Qi Lianshan, the envoy to the army, the same as the middle-aged man in the lead. Next to him, several other people also looked at Longsheiming. Yes, even though he is young, he is not an ordinary person, and he will definitely be able to save the Guardian envoy. When Longsheiming heard Qi Lianshan's words, his eyes narrowed slightly, but he nodded heavily and said, he had seen Li Hao's methods with his own eyes, and he was unwavering in this. Haha. Isn't he an ordinary person? Is he also a warrior? He actually lent him the officer's car. Only he, a young boy, can save the Guardian envoy. Longsheiming, don't you think you can't find Master Sanyang and come back? Find someone to use his skills to make up for it, if you can't save the Guardian envoy. Qi Lianshan, the commander of the army, laughed disdainfully and said lightly. As the envoy of the town army, Qi Lianshan was not really sarcastic, but filled with pride in his bones. When he knew that Longsheiming actually lent his car to this guy, he felt very uncomfortable. Although the car is not his, he feels that this car represents their garrison, and the guy in front of him is not qualified to drive it. And now, they actually have to come out together to greet this guy. It would be fine if he is a monk like Genren Sanyang, but he is a young man in his 20s, which makes Qi Lianshan even more unhappy. Hearing this, Li Hao frowned slightly, a sharp look flashed in his eyes, and he said nothing. When Longsheiming next to him heard this, his expression also changed, and not to be outdone, he spoke directly to Qi Lianshan in a deep voice. What? What does this mean, Commander Qi Zhen? You don't believe me anymore? If you don't believe me, if you have the ability to find someone who can save the commander, come back. It's not that I don't believe you, it's that I don't believe him. If I go, Master Sanyang might actually be brought back. When Qi Lianshan heard Longsheiming's words, his face sank and he said again. Haha. Who is Master Sanyang? Can he be compared with his little brother? Longsheiming laughed again and said sternly that in his opinion, Sanyang Genren, who was hoarding money and showing no mercy at all, was not even half as good as Li Hao. Just him. Haha. Qi Lianshan looked down on Li Hao. What if he saves the Guardian envoy? How about making a bet? Longsheiming said again that he would not be polite if the other party did not give him face. Bet? Longsheiming, you want to bet with me? Okay, whoever doesn't bet is a coward. If you bet, just bet. What to bet on? Qi Lianshan's eyes widened, and he said directly without any hesitation. If he can't save the garrison envoy, I will step down from the position of envoy joining the army and let Zhu Dehai go to the headquarters, right? Longsheiming immediately said again that when he sat in the seat, Qi Lianshan was very unconvinced and felt that a guy he brought out named Zhu Dehai should sit in this seat. Everyone was shocked when they heard Longzhiming's words. Longzhiming actually blocked his future. Longzhiming was not very old, only in his 40s, but he had already taken the position of military officer. There was definitely a great chance for him to move up in the future. But at this moment, he actually gambled the position of military officer. Okay. Qi Lianshan said a big good when he heard Longzhiming's words, which was exactly what he wanted. Okay. But at this time, the deputy garrison commander Yu Jianshan spoke again. Have you quarreled enough? He wanted to gamble. Deputy garrison commander Yu, don't worry about it. Whoever doesn't gamble is a grandson. Qi Lianshan said again. If he can't save him, I will step down from this position, but what if he saves the garrison commander? Qi Lianshan, what do you say? Longzhiming looked at Qi Lianshan, his eyes were not to be outdone, and he said directly. I will also step down from my position, okay. Qi Lianshan was also a fool, and said without thinking. Do you have to make such a big bet? We are all brothers, why do we have to bet so much? What are you doing? When the people around heard what the two sides said, their faces changed and they all said that this was too big. Your position is not needed. If you lose, how about you give him your car to drive? Longzhiming said lightly. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Taido. Chapter 86. What? You want my number 3 car? Give it to him. Hearing Longzhiming's words, Qi Lianshan's eyes widened again. What did Longzhiming mean? That's right. What? Are you scared? Longzhiming smiled and asked lightly, looking confident, but provoking. Afraid? Would I be scared? Let's bet. Hearing Longzhiming's words, Qi Lianshan couldn't help it and agreed directly. Bet. Isn't it just a number 3 car? Longzhiming, this idiot, actually doesn't want his position, isn't that better? Deputy Guardian you just act as witnesses. Longzhiming didn't seem to be worried at all, full of confidence in Li Hao, and said to Yu Jianshan and others. Then he looked at Li Hao again, smiled at Li Hao and said, and gave Li Hao an inexplicable look. Little brother, it's up to you. Li Hao was speechless. This guy must have done it on purpose. This guy is really confident in himself. In fact, Longzhiming made this bet for his own calculations. He firmly believed that Li Hao would be able to save the garrison commander. As long as he saved the garrison commander, he would be the benefactor of the entire Southwest Garrison Army. At that time, he might be able to get the garrison commander to give him a position. With this number 3 car, it would be equivalent to directly attracting Li Hao. And Li Hao is a genuine cultivator. If he becomes a member of their Southwest Garrison Army, it would be equivalent to having one more great god, and he would also have this thigh. Why not? Therefore, Longzhiming didn't care at all even if he gambled his position. Take a gamble, and the bicycle will become a motorcycle. If even Li Hao can't save the garrison commander, then no one in the entire Dewa country will be able to save the garrison commander. Well, since you all made this bet, it's up to you. Yu Jianshan sighed helplessly. Although he was a little higher than the two in position, he really couldn't control the two, so he could only do this. Yu Jianshan couldn't help but look at Li Hao again, with a hint of curiosity in his eyes. He didn't know why Longzhiming believed in this guy so much. Hope can create a miracle. Let's go in quickly. Yu Jianshan said again, turned around and went to the hospital building again. Suddenly, Qi Lianshan, Longs Haiming and others followed, and Li Hao also followed in. There were heavy guards outside the building, and ordinary people couldn't get in. After a while, Li Hao followed them to a special room. This room was actually full of some plants, lush and green, like an indoor forest, which made Li Hao utter a sound of surprise. Is it 9 spirit grass? Black jade lotus? Li Hao widened his eyes and actually recognized 2 herbs among these plants, and these were not ordinary herbs, but herbs with a trace of spiritual power. Spiritual grass. Li Hao, who had acquired divine medical skills and alchemy, was naturally very clear about these medicinal herbs and spiritual herbs. The information about all the medicinal herbs and spiritual herbs in his mind was extremely clear. Not only that, there were actually 2 jade-like stones placed in the corner. There was a spiritual light on the stone. Soul-enriching stone? Li Hao's eyes lit up. And in Li Hao's perception, this room was actually filled with a strong spiritual energy, and the richness of this spiritual energy was even not inferior to that of Lejun Mountain. How magnificent! It was really magnificent. This was clearly a man-made spiritual energy room. These spiritual herbs and soul-enriching stones, how much would they be worth if they were sold? On a wooden bed, there was a middle-aged man lying, thin, and looked to be in his 40s or 50s. Although he was lying, this middle-aged man had a special temperament, a transcendent temperament. At this moment, Li Hao was suddenly shocked. Monk. The middle-aged man lying on the bed was actually a cultivator. But at this moment, the middle-aged man's face was dark, and he had no energy, and it seemed that he would run out of energy at any time. If it weren't for these spiritual energies to keep him alive, the middle-aged man would have died. And this middle-aged man was the garrison commander mentioned by Longs Haiming and others, and the number 1 figure in the entire southwest military region, Nai Yuntian. Li Hao saw this scene, his eyes slightly condensed, but he had seen something in Nai Yuntian and guessed something. Nai Yuntian lay on the bed, watching Yu Qianshan and others come in, and then fell on Li Hao, and was also slightly stunned. Is this the person Longs Haiming brought back to save him? A little guy? Nai Yuntian's heart sank, but he still maintained a light smile. He had long been disillusioned, and now he had no hope at all. Boss, this little brother is called Li Hao. He can definitely cure your illness. Longs Haiming brought Li Hao to Nai Yuntian's side and said. Then he looked at Li Hao again and said directly. Little brother, this is my boss, the garrison commander of our Southwest Garrison Army. Do you think he can be cured? The garrison commander's illness is more serious than I believed. Li Hao said, and the words sank everyone's hearts again. But the next moment, Li Hao changed the subject. However, for me, it's not a big problem. Li Hao's voice was very calm, but it was full of strong confidence. What a big tone. You are so arrogant, then hurry up and see your performance. After hearing Li Hao's words, Qi Lianshan and others said again, thinking that Li Hao was too arrogant. Li Hao ignored the voices of these people and looked at Nai Yuntian, the garrison commander of the Southwest Garrison Army in front of him. Nai Yuntian smiled at Li Hao again and said lightly. Let it go, it doesn't matter if you can't cure it. That's God's will. Nai Yuntian was very open-minded. Don't worry. If I can't save you, no one can save you. Li Hao said lightly again, which made Nai Yuntian startled again, and smiled without saying anything. The next moment, Li Hao sat directly beside Nai Yuntian's bed. Then he stretched out his hand and grabbed Nai Yuntian's wrist. It looked like he was taking the pulse. But in fact, Li Hao was feeling the condition of Nai Yuntian's body. Soon, Li Hao's eyes condensed again. Poison. Nai Yuntian's body was actually filled with a strong poison. It was this poison that was constantly corroding Nai Yuntian's body, hurting Nai Yuntian's flesh and blood, internal organs, and constantly devouring Nai Yuntian's body and spiritual power. Such a strong poison. It actually made Nai Yuntian, a cultivator, into this state. God-level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Taido. Chapter 87. Nai Yuntian's body was actually filled with a powerful poison. This poison kept devouring Nai Yuntian's vitality. If Nai Yuntian wasn't a monk, he would have died long ago. But even so, under the influence of this poison and after years of torture, Nai Yuntian still couldn't bear it anymore. Li Hao closed his eyes and carefully felt Nai Yuntian's physical condition, and also felt the power of Nai Yuntian's body. The middle stage of foundation building. This Nai Yuntian is obviously a monk in the middle stage of foundation building, and there is a spiritual power base in Nai Yuntian's body. This base is obviously in Nai Yuntian's Danshan. This is the foundation of Nai Yuntian's cultivation. But at this moment, Li Hao was suddenly shocked again. At the base of Nai Yuntian's body, Li Hao felt the smell of a foreign object. The next moment, Li Hao suddenly opened his eyes filled with surprise. Golden silkworm poison. Li Hao blurted out the name of the poison Nai Yuntian suffered. Because, Li Hao clearly felt that the foreign object in Nai Yuntian's Danshan was a golden insect. It was very small, but it kept devouring and destroying Nai Yuntian's spiritual power base, and also absorbed Nai Yuntian's body's spiritual power is constantly strengthening itself, and releasing a powerful toxin that corrodes Nai Yuntian's body, flesh, blood, and meridians. This is obviously a kind of poison, golden silkworm poison. When Li Hao said the name of the golden silkworm poison, Nai Yuntian on the bed was suddenly startled, and then said to Li Hao in surprise. That's right, the poison I was poisoned by was the golden silkworm poison. I didn't expect that my little brother could actually call out his name. Now Nai Yuntian felt that the young man in front of him seemed to have real abilities. What's the use of calling out names? The most important thing is to see if you have the real ability to get rid of the poison on the guardian. Next to him, Kilian Shan said disdainfully. Li Hao ignored this guy and said directly to Nai Yuntian. Take off your clothes. Huh? Take off your clothes. Nai Yuntian was also stunned when he heard Li Hao's words. That's right. Li Hao nodded again. Longsheiming and others next to him were shocked and confused. What were they doing taking off their clothes? Although Nai Yuntian was also confused, he still listened to Li Hao and took off his clothes. Have you finished taking off your clothes? Nai Yuntian asked Li Hao while taking off his clothes. Although he was a big man, it would still be difficult to save his face if he took off his clothes in front of so many people. Well, just leave a pair of shorts on. Li Hao said lightly. Soon, Nai Yuntian took off his clothes, leaving only a pair of shorts. When Li Hao saw Nai Yuntian's body, his expression was shocked again. Nai Yuntian's figure was very thin and purple-black. Obviously, the golden silkworm poison has invaded Nai Yuntian's body very deeply. Of course, this is not the point. The point is that Nai Yuntian's body is actually covered with many scars. These scars are densely packed, large and small, and there are probably hundreds of them. There were scars from sharp objects, as well as scars from numerous gunshot wounds. Li Hao looked at the scars on Nai Yuntian's body and was shocked and stunned. He couldn't help but take a breath. These scars on Nai Yuntian's body were obviously left on the battlefield. This is a real soldier. Soldiers who have gone through countless battles. These scars are all caused by the battles that the guards have experienced over the past few decades. At this time, Longsheiming saw the scene and said immediately. At this moment, Li Hao was in awe. This is the real hero. No matter what, I have to cure him. But, well, Lord Guardian, there are too many people here. Can they get out? Li Hao said to Nai Yuntian again, he is a monk, and he will use the monk's methods later, and he will also take out the magic weapon Tianqian 9 needles. Li Hao doesn't want to be too high profile. And there are too many people, making it inconvenient to perform acupuncture. You want us to go out? What are you going to do? Who will ensure the safety of the guardian envoy? When Qi Lianshan heard Li Hao's words, he suddenly said unhappily. Longzhiming walked out without saying a word. Immediately afterwards, Yu Qianshan also walked out, leaving Qi Lianshan and a few people behind him. In that case, you all get out. Nai Yuntian spoke. Qi Lianshan walked out reluctantly. Are you okay now? When only Li Hao and Nai Yuntian were left in the room, Nai Yuntian said to Li Hao again. Li Hao nodded and said. Then let's get started. As Li Hao's words fell, a powerful cultivation aura was immediately released from Li Hao's body. Boom! At this very moment, Nai Yuntian's expression on the bed suddenly changed, revealing a look of extreme horror. Monk! Are you also a monk? Nai Yuntian said in silence, with a turmoil in his heart. Just now, he didn't feel the spiritual power fluctuations in Li Hao's body at all. He didn't expect that Li Hao was actually a monk. Moreover, from the aura of cultivation in Li Hao's body, he could feel that the cultivation of the young man in front of me is much stronger than when he was fully recovered. Shocking. In addition to shock, it was an extreme shock. No wonder the other party was so confident that he could cure him, and he was actually a cultivator. Nai Yuntian was shocked, and he really believed that the young man in front of him could save him. If even he couldn't do it, then no one could. Li Hao ignored Nai Yuntian and operated his cultivation. This was just the first step. Then, I saw a jade needle in Li Hao's hand. The jade needle shone with a touch of spiritual light, giving people an extraordinary feeling. Tianqian 9 needles, one of the 9 needles. Seeing this scene, Nai Yuntian's heart was suddenly shocked again. Acupuncture. Is this needle a magic weapon? When Nai Yuntian was wondering, Li Hao in front of him had already inserted the needle at a high speed. Nai Yuntian immediately felt that a part of his body was pierced, and a spiritual power entered his body along the tip of the jade needle. A cool feeling filled that part. Li Hao directly inserted the first needle. Key appointment. This is the location of the first needle. Tianqian 9 needles is the name of these 9 jade needles, and it is also a mysterious acupuncture technique. Then, the second jade needle appeared in Li Hao's hand. Nai Yuntian was shocked again. Another magic jade needle. Soon, Li Hao stabbed another needle. This time, it stabbed Nai Yuntian's central appointment. Then, the third jade needle appeared in Li Hao's hand. Nai Yuntian was shocked beyond words when he saw this scene. There is more. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Taido. Chapter 88. When the third jade needle appeared, Nai Yuntian was already shocked beyond measure. With Nai Yuntian's eyesight, he can naturally see the extraordinary features of these 3 jade needles. They are all magic weapons. One is extremely rare, and the young man in front of me actually has 3. Soon, the third needle fell directly. Tianxia point. As the 3 jade needles fell, 3 strands of spiritual power entered Nai Yuntian's body, cleaning out all the toxins as the spiritual power had said. Then, the 3 spiritual powers quickly headed towards Nai Tianyun's danshan. Just at this moment, the golden silkworm in Nai Yuntian's danshan seemed to feel a powerful crisis and wanted to move away from Nai Yuntian's danshan. The road above seems to have been sealed, and it can only go down, leaving 3 legs. The golden silkworm directly wanted to escape from the danshan and go to the lower limbs. But at this moment, Li Hao's eyes flashed with a flash of light. Naturally, the intention of the golden silkworm could not escape Li Hao's perception, and the 3 injections that Li Hao had just given had the intention of trapping the golden silkworm. The 4th jade needle appeared in Li Hao's hand. With quick eyes and quick hands, Li Hao directly inserted the 4th jade needle into an acupuncture point on Na Yuntian's right leg. And with a jade needle at this acupointment, the golden silkworm's transfer path was immediately blocked again. The golden silkworm could only escape in another direction. Li Hao's speed was so fast that almost instantly, he took out another jade needle and pierced it. An acupuncture point on Na Yuntian's left leg was also inserted. Jing Can's escape route was blocked again. Want to run? How is that possible? Li Hao said calmly, his voice filled with strong confidence. The golden silkworm in Na Yuntian's body seemed to be in a panic and ran away like crazy, but it could not escape the siege of Li Hao's 5 jade needles. And this golden silkworm was trapped in the dantian. Almost. Li Hao said in a deep voice again. The 6th jade needle appeared in Li Hao's hand. Na Yuntian was also feeling the situation in his body, and his heart was shocked to the extreme. This. A few jade needles trapped the golden silkworm poison that had tortured him for many years and was helpless. 6 jade needles. Without exception, they are all magic weapons. And it looks like a set. What is the origin of this young man? This handwriting is too big. In addition to being shocked, Na Yuntian was also extremely curious about Li Hao. The 6th jade needle came out. Li Hao also fell decisively. This time, Li Hao directly stabbed Na Yuntian's dantian. Ho! As soon as the needle fell, the golden silkworm roared and struggled wildly in Na Yuntian's dantian as if it had been hit hard, trying to escape. It was also alive, but at this moment it felt a threat to its life. The next moment, there was no way out for him. A dog can jump over a wall in a hurry. The golden silkworm fled directly to the last remaining position. And that position is Na Yuntian's 3rd leg. Ah! Na Yuntian also let out a cry at this moment. Then, he felt something moving underneath him. Bah! No more. Na Yuntian couldn't help shouting immediately, before he finished speaking. The golden silkworm has already rushed out. Li Hao had already stepped aside to avoid an accident. This scene was unbearable to watch. Li Hao stared at the ground closely. In a ball of blood, a tiny insect was squirming. This is the golden silkworm Gu, the guy who has tortured Na Yuntian for many years. Even at this moment, the golden silkworm Gu was not dead yet, and it actually wanted to escape. But out of the body, it has no fighting power. Li Hao pointed directly at the golden silkworm Gu, and suddenly another wave of power came to the golden silkworm Gu. Bah! Like a tiny lightning strike, the golden silkworm Gu was turned into ashes. Golden silkworm Gu insect, die. At the same time, in the south, deep within a Miao tribe, a girl wearing Miao clothes is extremely beautiful and charming, and has a special exotic temperament. At this moment, she is sitting cross-legged on the bed, as if she is practicing cultivation. But at this moment, puff! Suddenly, the girl spurted out a mouthful of blood, her face became extremely pale, and there was even more shock on her face. Huh? How could this happen? Don't kill my golden silkworm Gu! How is this possible? The girl was horrified and said in disbelief. This golden silkworm Gu was her natal Gu that she had raised for many years, and it was actually killed. Immediately afterwards, the girl's appearance suddenly became older. The originally smooth skin became wrinkled, and the areas that were originally straight became a bit saggy. Life force passed quickly, and a lot of it passed in the blink of an eye. She directly changed from a young girl to an old woman. Ah! Who is it? Who is it? I'm going to kill you! She roared angrily. She was really angry, her beautiful face was just gone. There is only one word to describe her now: ugly. She wants revenge. The next moment, She walked out directly. Li Hao didn't know the chain reaction caused by killing this voodoo insect, so he casually killed the golden silkworm voodoo bug that was urinated by Nai Yuntian. Li Hao looked at Nai Yuntian again. As the golden silkworm goo worm left the body, it died. The purple and black on Nai Yuntian's body also faded at a speed visible to the naked eye, and his skin color returned to normal. Nai Yuntian was also very excited. He felt that the toxins in his body were fading rapidly, and his originally suppressed cultivation power could be used. Boom! Nai Yuntian directly activated his cultivation power. The spiritual energy in the entire room suddenly gathered towards him, and then directly entered his body. His originally lost vitality was also returning rapidly. After a while, the two soul stones in the room turned into powder, and the spiritual grass also withered. However, Nai Yuntian's face had become ruddy and radiant. All right? He is really well. Li Hao saw this scene, and a smile appeared on his face. He only used 6 of the Tianqian 9 needles to cure Nai Yuntian. Li Hao, who had acquired the divine medical skills and the 9 heavenly needles, expelled the golden silkworm poison from Nai Yuntian's body without much effort. It's fine. I'm really fine. Nai Yuntian said excitedly. He felt his body full of strength again. Looking at Li Hao, Nai Yuntian's eyes were already full of respect. The more so, the more he could feel the other party's strength. Little brother, thank you so much. You saved my life. Nai Yuntian said to Li Hao gratefully. It's a small matter. Don't worry about it. Li Hao waved his hand and said lightly that he didn't care too much. The reason why he took action was because Nai Yuntian was a hero who defended his country. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Taido. Chapter 89. When the door to the room is opened. The figures of Nai Yuntian and Li Hao appeared in front of everyone. Everyone's eyes widened, and their eyes were filled with incomparable shock. Brother! Are you okay? Lord Guardian Envoy. Lord Guardian, are you okay? Incredible. The guard in front of him, Nai Yuntian, actually got out of bed and walked out. All the purple and black color on his body was gone, and his face became rosy and radiant. Moreover, they felt a strong sense of oppression from Nai Yuntian. Powerful momentum. This also shows that Nai Yuntian in front of him is really well. Brother, are you okay? Yu Qianshan and others immediately gathered around and asked with concern on their faces. Okay. I'm all healed. Nai Yuntian looked at everyone, a smile appeared on his face, and then he said to everyone. If it weren't for little brother Li Hao, I'm afraid my life would be gone. Immediately, Nai Yuntian looked at Longsheiming again. Zheiming, you did a good job this time. Nai Yuntian praised Longsheiming, and it was thanks to Longsheiming that he brought Li Hao. Hearing Nai Yuntian's words, Longsheiming also had a smile on his face. But the next moment, Nai Yuntian looked at Qilian Mountain again, with a hint of a smile on his face. Lianshan, I heard clearly the bet you and Zheiming made before. Nai Yuntian said to Qi Lianshan. After hearing Nai Yuntian's words, Qi Lianshan's expression changed and became a little ugly. Brother! Qi Lianshan shouted to Nai Yuntian with a pulled face, this is his number 3 car. He had never thought before that this guy could actually cure the disease of the Guardian Envoy. Now, he regrets it a bit. Next to him, Longsheiming smiled again when he saw the scene and said. Qi Lianshan, what's wrong? Do you want to regret it? Are you still not a member of our garrison? The deputy governors and the others are all testifying. Can't you afford to lose? Longsheiming felt that he took a long, comfortable breath. I'm willing to admit defeat. Your number 3 officer's car will belong to my little brother from today on. At this time, Na Yuntian said directly. But, brother, if he doesn't talk about the people in our garrison, it wouldn't be good if I gave him my number 3 car, right? We have regulations. Qi Lianshan said weakly again. The rule is that the dead are alive. Although the little brother was not one of us before, he will be soon. It has been decided that the little brother will be the company commander of our logistics company. But at this moment, Na Yuntian said lightly again. Ah! Brother, what? After hearing Na Yuntian's words, Yu Qianshan and others had a strange look on their faces. Even Li Hao was surprised and confused. Little brother, our logistics company happens to be short of a company commander. Can you be the commander? Na Yuntian immediately said to Li Hao again. This isn't quite appropriate. I'm still a student, and I'm used to being idle. Li Hao immediately said that he was directly appointed as the company commander without consulting him. Li Hao really had no idea about this company commander. Little brother. Well, even though he is a company commander, he has nothing to do on weekdays. He doesn't need to train, he can come and go freely, and he is completely independent. Na Yuntian said to Li Hao again. He really wanted Li Hao to become a member of the Southwest Guard Army. All he can do is become a company commander. If he goes up above, he will have to achieve great military exploits or make great contributions to the army or the country. Of course, judging from Li Hao's cultivation and strength, it is enough to sit in his seat. When everyone heard Na Yuntian's words, they were even more shocked. No training was required, they could come and go freely, and they were completely autonomous. These words showed how much Na Yuntian liked Li Hao, and he actually promised to do it. These conditions. This is already somewhat of an exception. Moreover, a company commander carries a 3-star banner on his shoulders. But what they didn't expect was. Let's forget it. I only heard Li Hao say directly. Reject. Decisively refused. This made Yu Qianshan and others' eyes widen again. Now that your poison has been cured, it's time for me to leave. Li Hao said directly again, preparing to leave. That's all. Little brother, let's leave a phone number. If you need it in the future, call me. I still have some weight in the entire country of China. When Na Yuntian saw this scene, he sighed and did not force it, but still said to Li Hao. Li Hao nodded and immediately left each other's phone numbers. At this time, Na Yuntian said to Qi Lianshan again. Go and bring your number 3 car over here. I'm willing to admit defeat. But. Qi Lianshan wanted to say something else, but was directly interrupted by Na Yuntian. Nothing to worry about. I am the guardian, I have the final say. Na Yuntian's voice also contained a touch of domineering. Li Hao actually didn't care about the number 3 car or the number 3 car, and since he was not from the Southwest Guards Army, it was actually quite troublesome to drive out. Soon, not a few minutes. A black Audi drove over again, with a white license plate, but the license plate number was 00003. It was the number 3 officer car of the Southwest Garrison Army, and also Qi Lianshan's car. That little brother, take this car. Na Yuntian smiled at Li Hao again and handed the key to Li Hao. Isn't this not good? Li Hao was speechless and said weakly, why did he force a car on him? Li Hao was puzzled again. It's not bad. What? Little brother? Don't you dare? Are you afraid? Na Yuntian said again. Provocation. Afraid. How is it possible? Li Hao smiled, but he understood what the other party meant and his general intention. As long as he took the car, maybe no matter whether he was really a member of the Southwest Garrison Army, it was almost the same. Driving this car out, he also represented the Southwest Garrison Army. On the contrary, if the Southwest Garrison Army had any problems, he could not stand idly by. In short, this is the other party trying to befriend him. Li Hao took the car key directly and sat on it. Let's go. Li Hao left a sentence and drove away directly. Until Li Hao left far away. Brother. Just give him car no 3. Yu Jianshan also asked in surprise. This guy is not an ordinary person. However, Nai Yuntian's eyes were shining. A car number 3, in exchange for a real thigh, worth it? Not an ordinary person? Brother. Is he? Hearing Nai Yuntian's words, everyone was shocked again. That's all I have to say, you can taste it yourself. Taste it carefully. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Taido. Chapter 90. Nai Yuntian gave Li Hao the number 3 car, which also gave Li Hao a background identity. Nai Yuntian knew that an extraordinary person like Li Hao would soon show his edge. At that time, he might be needed. Of course, this in turn was also an opportunity for him and even the entire Southwest Garrison Army. He was so young, but he had such a cultivation level, and he was so low-key. If he hadn't actively operated his cultivation level, he wouldn't have seen it. If he had more time, it would be hard to say what level the other party could reach. Several major families in Beijing have been fighting for many years. Fortunately, there are 9 major garrisons to guard the peace of all parties. But under the calm, there are still undercurrents. In Nai Yuntian's view, it won't be long before another storm comes. Li Hao didn't know that Nai Yuntian had thought so far. Li Hao just wanted to live a good life every day now, and he couldn't care about everything about family, country, and the world. Li Hao drove the number 3 officer car directly, and he had a smooth journey without any obstacles. However, when Li Hao just drove a few kilometers away from the Southwest Garrison, Li Hao made a surprised sound and widened his eyes. Squeak. The next moment, Li Hao's car stopped directly. Because a white snow leopard jumped directly from a huge rock on the side of the road. Just like that, it jumped from a rock several feet high to the middle of the road. Isn't this the snow leopard that Li Hao rescued before? Li Hao was puzzled. What is this guy doing here? The snow leopard ran directly to the front of Li Hao's car. The big round eyes seemed to be filled with excitement, and then opened its mouth and roared at Li Hao. Awoo! Li Hao was startled again. Is this a greeting? This snow leopard seemed to be waiting for him here, and Li Hao found that there was blood at the corner of the snow leopard's mouth. Not only that, there were some injuries and blood on the snow leopard's body. Li Hao got out of the car and said speechlessly at this scene. Are you going to fight again? Perhaps it understood what Li Hao said. Awoo, awoo. The snow leopard actually nodded and called to Li Hao twice, and there seemed to be a hint of pride and complacency in the voice. It seemed to say, I won, I killed him. Li Hao saw this scene, but his eyes were full of surprise. This snow leopard was really a little psychic. Could it be because of his spiritual power? Li Hao noticed that although the snow leopard was injured, it was only a minor injury, and the blood on the mouth was not from this guy, but from its opponent. Awoo! Then, the snow leopard cried again, and came to Li Hao's side again, then lay down, with its 4 legs facing the sky, exposing its belly. This guy actually had a wound on his belly. You want me to treat it? Li Hao widened his eyes, and really understood what this guy meant, and this guy really had no defense against him. Absolute trust. Perhaps it was because he had saved it before. Li Hao paused again, and then activated his cultivation power, and injected a ray of spiritual power into the snow leopard's body, and even took out the jade needle and pierced the snow leopard's body twice. Then, the snow leopard's injuries recovered rapidly. When Li Hao stood up again, the snow leopard stood up again, and then jumped up and down around excitedly, and was so happy. Okay. Go back. Don't fight again, if you get hurt again, no one will treat you. Li Hao said to the snow leopard again, and then prepared to get in the car and leave. However, the snow leopard came to the front of car number 3 again and barked at Li Hao twice. Awoo, awoo. Li Hao. What do you mean? Li Hao frowned slightly, not quite understanding what the other party meant this time. He was proficient in 18 languages, but he couldn't understand leopard language. The next moment, the snow leopard actually came to the passenger door of car number 3. Then he stretched out his claws and scratched there. Li Hao immediately understood. Do you want to take a car? Come with me. Li Hao asked immediately. The snow leopard nodded again and roared. Awoo. Li Hao frowned slightly, this guy was clearly relying on him, and then said in a deep voice. But, you are so big, taking you into the city, it would be scary to death. However, Li Hao's voice had just fallen. A shocking scene happened immediately. Caw-caw-caw. A caw-caw sound came from the snow leopard's body, as if it came from its bones. I saw that the huge body of the snow leopard actually began to slowly shrink. Yes, it was shrinking, and getting smaller and smaller. In just a few breaths, the snow leopard turned into a small snow leopard of only 50 to 60 centimeters. No, it no longer looked like a snow leopard, but more like a cat. Oh my God! It can be like this? How did you do it? Li Hao stared at the scene with his eyes wide open in disbelief. He didn't expect that the snow leopard could actually become smaller. This is simply amazing. Could it be that the snow leopard has also changed because of his spiritual power? Of course, this is just Li Hao's guess. The next moment, Li Hao saw that the shrunken snow leopard jumped in from the car window and sat on the passenger seat. Li Hao. Looking at the snow leopard's appearance, it is obvious that it is relying on me. Forget it, just follow me. It looks good like this. However, I still have to tell you that if you want to follow me, you have to listen to me and not scare or hurt anyone casually. Li Hao said to the snow leopard again. Awoo. Awoo. The snow leopard nodded again and again, looking cute and well-behaved, just like a well-behaved kitten. Thinking of this, Li Hao couldn't help but say again. You don't have a name yet, right? You're white and cute, so I'll just call you White Cat. Haha. Awoo, awoo. Hearing what Li Hao said, the snow leopard shook his head again and again, as if he was not happy. It was a snow leopard, a psychic snow leopard with noble blood, how could it be called a cat? Haha, that's it? White Cat. Li Hao said with a smile and called out. The snow leopard didn't respond. White Cat. Li Hao widened his eyes and called out again. The snow leopard held his head high and said nothing. Get out if you don't agree. White Cat. Li Hao said in a deep voice. Awoo. The snow leopard responded immediately, almost crying. Haha. Li Hao laughed again, feeling happy.